what's the biggest issue you see in young men today?
I think the biggest issue that I see is comparison. The internet is a great place of opportunity, but it's also a great place of deception, where people compare themselves to something that they're not.
I suffer with this.
And we all do. And they begin to compare themselves. And comparison is the killer of joy. It's the thief of joy, because you're no longer present. You want to be what somebody else is. And you imagine an elusive reality of what somebody else is experiencing. And you think that that other person has all the answers, when in fact, they probably don't. Just because somebody lives in a lavish big home or drives a Bentley or has a phenomenal watch on their wrist doesn't mean they have life figured out. Maybe they have a couple assets, maybe they have money, but if money is all you have, then you don't have much. And I think that social media has done a terrible job at making people realize that this material thing that we live in, this material possessions that we can acquire, is the end all of happiness, and that you're supposed to have a Lamborghini when you're 18 or 19, and if you're not, you're a loser. I was listening to an interview that Pavel Durov from Telegram did recently, and said, I've never bought a supercar, I don't have super yachts, I live in Airbnbs, I just want freedom. And I'm like, okay, this guy that's a multi-billionaire, been buying Bitcoin over the last 10 years, understands the fundamental premise of, I don't want things to own me, right? I want to own things. I don't want these things to own me. So understands how to manage his materialistic desires. But in social media, I think it's very easy to see somebody else's life and think that they have it all figured out, when in reality, we're all still trying to figure it out. Look for those content creators that aren't here to sell you a lifestyle, but that want to empower you with becoming the best version of yourself, which is why I love this podcast, because it's based on happiness, self-development, and business, which are the fundamental keys to living a good life. And you've had different aspects of entrepreneurs, and I had a plethora of people. And I think that it's very healthy to find those people that are real and authentic, because authenticity is the premise of a life well lived. Because if you don't have authenticity, then you've lost yourself in the process. And I think that's the biggest issue that we face nowadays with men, the comparison that ultimately leads to the killing of joy.
And that was well put. I think especially like when you see social media, the Instagram stories, like it's just real time. What are you doing right now? What am I doing? You know, whenever someone posts a story, it's likely that what they're doing is fun. And if you're sitting in the office, no matter which door you're opening, they're all doing something better than you. Because if you were just sitting in an office or sitting in a workplace, it's just going to be a boring setup. But if they're posting on their story, they're out on a yacht. Or so when you open your stories, you will see like everyone is having fun except you. Because if the fact that they're posting on a story means they're doing something interesting. And I think in real time, you look at yourself and you say, like, okay, what am I doing now? And what are these other people doing in this moment? And you just compare yourself, and it just makes you feel so bad, you know? That's why I think a lot of people should spend less time on social media as well. Because I think there's only so much you can limit yourself. How would you stop comparing yourself? Like, what would be the counter? Let's say, for example, if someone today was comparing themselves a lot, how would they stop?
I mean, first is understand that, like you said, people on social media, they just reflect the best aspects of themselves. And that's what social media is for. It should be for business. It shouldn't be there for, you know, when people talk about drama and when people are out here talking about people's personal information. I don't like that. That's gross. I think the internet is about business. I think it's just a vehicle and a channel to materialize things into the real world. And I think that this is what matters. Relationships, like fuck the cameras, you know, like we're going to dinner after this, we're going to have a good time. That's what matters. But had it not been through the internet, we would have never been able to do it together.
We never met.
We had the meetup. There was 1,600 people that showed up. 1,600 people in Dubai. I live on the other side of the world. I live in the Caribbean. 1,600 people in Dubai. What matters is the experiences, the hands that you shake, the stories that you listen to. The people that are comparing themselves first need to realize that most things on the internet are just the best versions of people. It's not people's realities, it's just glimpses into people's lives. And for the people who are like, oh, well, those people don't make money. Let me tell you something. People make money. Don't get that mistaken. People make a lot of money on the internet, and people flaunt a lot of their wealth on the internet, but it's not the end all and be all of their lives. The second part is, why do you use social media? Are you a consumer or are you a producer? I use the internet to make money. I use the internet to build community. I use the internet to find connections and relationships. I'm not out here doom scrolling on TikTok, wondering what Kim Kardashian and Lady Gaga are doing on their free time in the Frappuccino that some other bullshit influencers cooking up. I don't care. I'm using it as a producer. And I think the people that use social media as a consumer are the ones that end up being very, very unhappy.
I have a question for you. It's a bit of a deep one. Would you rather be broke but very happy? Or would you rather be rich but only slightly happy?
Rich but slightly happy. Because happiness is not something that I'm chasing. I think happiness is just an emotion. I think that the people that choose to chase happiness will always end up disappointed, because life is about experiencing a wide range of emotions. I'm not here to just be happy all the time, and people that assume that life is about being happy all the time, or that they're only going to work when they feel like working, or they're only going to, push towards their dreams when they feel like it, when they have a good mood, are the people that end up failing and end up very, very unhappy. Because you can't necessarily, what happens today if your mother dies? What, you're going to be happy for the next week? No, you're going to be devastated. You're going to be extremely sad. You can't be pursuing happiness. What you need to be pursuing is the best version of yourself. And the best version of yourself is a person that pursues experiences in a wide range of emotions, which is everything that life has to offer. Anybody that tells you that life is about happiness is lying to you, because it's not about happiness. Life is about experiencing the fullness of life. And why would you neglect yourself? If you're only here one time on planet Earth, why would you neglect yourself from every potential experience that life has to offer you?
True. Yeah, like for example, sometimes some of the most creative works that artists have done throughout the world, be it like musicians or actual painters, is when they're sad, So would it not be for those negative emotions, we wouldn't have all that art around us.
Absolutely.
What is one thing that immediately gets on your nerves? Like as soon as you see it, it immediately gets on your nerves.
I wish more people were more gentle with themselves and more forgiving. You don't have a lot of people in life that are gonna come and fight for you. It bothers me to my core when I see people just be negative on themselves, be hard on themselves, not be a fan of themselves. And I get it, like you understand the imperfections of your own life. But if you're not a fan of yourself, nobody's going to be a fan of you. If you don't fight for yourself, nobody's going to fight for you. It really bothers me, the victim mentality that people have regarding themselves. And if you can escape that victim mentality, you can tap into the opposite side, which is hope. And it's understanding that you can become an extremely better person. And I say this often, especially when it comes to parents. So many people talk about their parents and they say how bad of a job their parents did. But like, they didn't know any better. They're just getting started. They have imperfections. And just like that, one day you'll be a father, and hopefully you're not hard on yourself on what it means to be a father. You're just figuring it out. And I think that bothers me to my core, is when people are not forgiving with their own mistakes, because we're all just learning in the process. So I think really rewiring your own mindset and understanding that we're all here learning together, and then you're not going to have everything figured out. You can't be stressed or upset or frustrated at the process of figuring it out. When you were riding a bicycle when you were a kid, trying to figure out how to ride a bicycle, just like we try to figure out how to live life, you weren't out here upset at yourself all the time. You understood that you were going to fall, you were going to bruise your knee, you were going to probably cut yourself a little bit here and there, but you were going to get up and eventually you were going to figure it out. And I think if people did that with life, they would be in a situation whereby they would be less hard on themselves and more graceful and forgiving.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, just dust your knees a little bit and get up. The thing about you said about parents is completely true. I remember watching this clip recently, maybe the editor can put it up, but like it was a video of just like a mom bowling, okay? So she was just going for bowling and she was just bowling a ball and the ball went completely in the gutter. And the point of the video was basically that the caption was, be nice to your mom, it's her first time living as well. And sometimes we look at our parents and we expect them to have everything figured out. Like they should know how to do everything. They should be able to take care of everything. They should know all the future consequences. They should know, like something goes wrong in our lives and we want to blame them for it, But it's their first time living and they don't know. Having said that, the point you make about going hard on yourself, sometimes I notice that when I go hard on myself, it can tend to bring the best out of me. Would you say that 100% of the time that love is more of a stronger force than, for example, if I was to like get upset at myself, would it be better to be like nice with myself and be like, come on bro, you can do it? Or would it be like, you fucked up, you messed up, you shot the bed, do better next time? Because sometimes there's something called tough love which helps you as well. What do you say is a stronger force for improving yourself?
I think the highest form of self-improvement or the highest form of pursuit shouldn't be out of love or shouldn't be out of hate, should be off of authenticity. I was talking with one of my buddies, Gary Breck, a popular biohacker, and he was researching a study that had taken place about 15 to 20 years called SPAIN, which is the scale of positive and negative emotion, whereby they put patients into a room, prompted them with different actions, and evaluated their vibrational frequency based off of different behaviors and different moods and different emotions that they were evoking. And they realized that the highest form of vibrational frequency that somebody could tap into wasn't the vibrational frequency of love, which is what we assume was the highest form of vibrational frequency, but it was the vibrational frequency of authenticity, being the truest version of yourself. So I think, yes, there is a place whereby you have to be hard on yourself and challenge yourself and discipline yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't have the physique that you want, yes, be authentic with yourself and realize that there's a better version of yourself out there. If you're not eating good food, yeah, be hard on yourself and be like, hey, you're cheating yourself from a healthy habit. If you're out here sleeping around with women, if you're out here, fucking around, if you're out here doing drugs, if you're wasting your time, yeah, be hard on yourself, because that's not the best version of yourself, but do it understanding that the most authentic version of yourself is out there and it's not this current form. So the highest vibrational frequency is tapping into the best version of yourself, not out of love, not out of hate, but out of authenticity, which I think is extremely, extremely important.